Hey, thanks so much for being here. I'm Casey.
I'm Krista.
Pour yourself a glass of liquid courage.
And cozy up for the combo.
Cheers, girl. Cheers. Cheers. Hey.
All right.
So, well, hey,
Here we
cheers to round one.
Yes. It's exciting. We're finally here.
We're finally here.
So at the third, fourth try, we started this.
Yes. I really was like waiting for the perfect time, like whatever that was. And of course, perfect time has never happened.
Right.
So I never did it. And then, to be honest, I kind of got in my own way a little bit. I got in my head, like, what do I want this to be about? Why? And I think what I've really realized is I just want to build a community. I want to build a community of having conversations around things that I needed someone to talk to me about through my journey of life, right? I was dealing with some really tough things, and I just wanted somebody that I could have like a really candid, honest conversation with and to talk through things. And, that's what I kind of want to do here, is have some of those really tough freaking conversations with things that as women, as life goes on, we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So here we are with our liquid courage.
Yes. Right. That was a name that we came up with. We thought long and hard on that one.
We did.
Over liquid courage.
Yes.
No, but really it is something that I think diving into, when you shared with me your vision for this, I thought it was fabulous. Of course, I'm like your biggest cheerleader. I'm on the sidelines going, go.
And I'm so grateful.
But I think that it's so important because there's a little bit of an age gap, but I have two kids. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and I was so intent on having conversations with her and making sure that she understood that I understood. And there was not one subject that would be off limits, taboo. Come to me with whatever you have. And those are I'm kind of like a realist. I live in that world. So let's just talk about it. Let's be real. And so when you were telling me that this is what you wanted to do, I was so excited. And then you invited me to be a part of it. And I think that that's really sweet. So thank you.
It wasn't like, I invited you for very selfish reasons. Like, because you were the kick in the ass that I needed, right? Like, it was like, no, I knew I wanted to not do this by myself. I wanted to bring people in. And I think you and I have talked about even bringing in people moving forward, like extra people. Like, let's have these conversations. Yeah. Let's bring in an expert in this XYZ. And so I wanted to have these conversations with somebody, like just conversation style, right? And so it was a very selfish thing, and you were very gracious to dive in head first with me. And I'm just excited about what we get to share, and hopefully some people out there will get to benefit from some of the shit we've gone through.
I think so. I mean, and honestly, I do think so. And it's so important to continue to have these conversations about the real shit you're going through. There's just a closet full, literally, of things that you could talk about. Oh, I'm sure there's a story behind every necklace and jewelry, and just from your fashion background.
Yeah, absolutely. I do really enjoy collecting pieces that mean something to me, and it's so funny. Even my little nose ring, I'd always wanted it, and I just didn't do it, and I didn't do it, and then I was working corporate, and I couldn't have it. And I'm the person that deals with trauma through art. Everything big that I've gone through in my life is tattooed on my body in some format. And it's artwork that I've done, and anyways, like, as you know, I lost
So you've designed it?
Yeah, like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all my things.
Fun.
So,
and on your foot, too?
Yep. And, like,
whatever that is.
Whatever
a dragon or something, right?
Yes. It's a dragon.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. But so I've let the artists, after a while, I started letting the artists give their own artistic lens to it also. Like the really big memorial piece that I did for my dad, that was an artist in Amarillo, just really took my ideas and made something really fabulous out of them. So, but Take back to my nose ring because that's what really
Oh,
matters.
the nose ring. That's right. You know, and I've never even commented on that. I've always seen it, but I've never commented on it. Does it hurt? I have my ears pierced, and that is all.
So it stung. It definitely was like, and he told me it was like, it's gonna feel like a pinch on the back of your arm, like your mom's mad at you and she's like pinching you, and it did. So the act itself wasn't so painful. It was like the week after, it was super tender, and like you're drying your face off after the shower and you're not thinking about it, and that little terry cloth gets stuck and it like yanks you like, ah! Like that's the shit that hurts.
Yeah, no, that just made my stomach.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Okay, but the story behind it, you put yourself through that because
so I lost my dog this summer, and I needed something to cope. Like, this sounds so silly when I think back on it, like on any of it. I wanted something to cope, but I was like, I don't need another tattoo right now. Like, let's slow my roll. So I just decided I'm gonna get my nose pierced instead. And so this was like an homage to my sweet puppy Jasper. So it's funny because yes, all my jewelry does have a story.
I know, and that's really sweet. Like, you even told me about this piece because I saw this earlier. I was like, oh my God, that's fabulous.
Well, thank you.
Everything's so pretty.
So yeah, a lot of my stuff has come from travels and things I wanted to remember.
Like, oh, look at you. Okay.
I really am all poking.
Yes. That's really cute though. I love it. Thank you. I love that journey for you. Sorry, that's if you watch this, you will know who says that to us. But this right here is absolutely gorgeous too. So we don't need to always talk about jewelry and things.
Yeah. So
but that's
the fun thing
that's who you are though.
It is who I am.
You're identified by all that.
I like sparkles and accessories. And honestly, I've always loved jewelry. So I would get an allowance when I was little for my chores. And I remember being like 3 years old, and I wasn't allowed to get my ears pierced till I was 5. And I was like at the drugstore with my mom, like the little emporium or whatever. They have all sorts of kitschy stuff and whatever. And as you were walking up to the checkout line, there's one of those little like rolly racks, like spins, and it had all these big sparkly clip-on earrings. And I was like, Mom, I begged. I was like, I felt like they were massive. I was 3. And these like big 80s. Yes, in the 80s.
Love it.
Giant sparkly clip-on earrings. And my mom looked at me like I was batshit crazy. And she was like, what? I was like, Mom, they're so beautiful. Just let me have them. And she's like, you have an allowance. And so I was like, I bargained with her at 3 years old because I didn't have my allowance with me. I was like, I'll pay you back when we get home.
You had chores at 3? Let's get back to that. I think we're going to go deeper than you at 3.
I think we're big chores.
Were you scrubbing toilets or what were you doing?
Not till age.
Oh,
Such a Cinderella story. No, not at all. No, like it was like little stuff, like learning how to make my bed. But it was like trying to teach like the value of certain things, right? My parents are really big on that.
So that was your first piece of jewelry?
Yes. And they were like these big, like long teardrop silver pieces with these big fake rhinestones at the top. And but I've loved sparkly things ever since then. And so there was the beginning of my sparkle journey. And
that's so perfect. That's so you. I mean, I love that.
So, and then after that, my mom was like, if we look for stuff at garage sales, you can buy a lot more for a lot less. So then we made it like a thing at garage sales. So I would buy high heels I could play dress up in, and like silly costume jewelry. So my stuff just started to grow.
That's really sweet that your mom embraced that, though. She just was totally your fan. When you said garage sales, it's so funny because we moved to an area of town from Florida 10 years ago. We moved to Georgia, and we moved to this area of town. It was very, very affluent and fancy, and we didn't know any better. We just moved in there, and we had the neighborhood yard sale, and so it was really fun because it was like good shit. I'm not a big yard saler. I used to have to do that when I was younger, and as I got older, I didn't want to do it.
Right.
But I thought, how bad could this be? So there really were just some fabulous pieces. And my daughter and her friends to shop around. And so they were finding these cute dresses and shoes. And I'm like, oh, yes, those would be great for dress up. And the women selling them were like, oh, but you could tell they were just horrified that they were going to be like a play piece instead of used for, but it was totally fine. I mean, they were fabulous pieces, but they weren't 25 cents or whatever it used to be.
Right.
When we did them in the 70s, it was, they were a little bit more.
Right. No, that's fine. But it was like the concept of when I discovered that the thrift stores in Beverly Hills
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
had like couture pieces sometimes. You couldn't keep me away from Goodwill.
Right.
Like,
Oh, even the Goodwill, too.
yes.
Okay.
Well, in any thrift store, not just that one. But and they're one of the bigger ones, obviously. So,
I grew up in those. I mean, it was a single mom. We were thrift store shopping, popping those tags. What was that song? I love that song. Anyway, I love that song. But regardless, I did not love shopping at thrift stores, but that's what we did. We had to always do that. That was what we did. So
we did a lot of garage sales
did not.
also. And my mom really didn't. I don't remember doing thrift stores until I was in high school and became like cool. And then it was like, how many little kids T-ball shirts could I get for 25 cents to cut up and make stuff out of?
Okay, so you even had that desire to design back then.
Yes. I can't tell you how many Barbies were destroyed because I decided that they needed different hair and makeup. So I would like cut off their hair and color their faces. Sometimes not always mine, but my sister's.
Oops.
Why would everyone mind if I could?
Well, right. Yeah. That's
But so
perfectly good one.
but I got this like for my 5th birthday. I got this big drawing kit, and it had like a stencil for body shapes, and it was basically a clothes designing kit. And I did that thing for years. And I remember my little ADHD brain in school, the more I could like do something else with my hands, truly the better I would focus on the teacher. And so even though a lot of teachers really struggled with this because they didn't understand it wasn't understood yet. The people that helped coach me through all that, my parents included, told me like, if you can keep busy without being too distracting, you'll attain information better. So I would doodle a lot. And if you go back when I was moving out for college and I was going through all these boxes of crap my mom kept, I found all my old notebooks from like 5th grade, 6th grade, whatever. And like all the pages had doodles of little clothes and little like whatevers.
I love that. Yeah. So sweet.
And then I was like, man, I had some really weird style.
No.
But it's so funny. So it comes back full circle, right?
That's so cute. So you got your earrings and just life.
And here we go.
Just took over with the fashion.
I guess.
Just started paying attention. I mean, what was it? Were you paying attention to TV and magazines, or just what was going on in the world around you? You were in Texas, right?
I grew up in Texas.
So that's like big hair, but not everybody, right?
So much
Closer
big hair,
to God,
big bows, big Suburbans, and big hair.
Yeah, that's it. It's true.
That was my childhood friends' moms.
It is true. Okay, all right. I've heard things.
Oh, it's a thing. It's a thing.
We grew up in California. We just had like, beachy, salty, sandy hair, and just.
I love that journey for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. No, actually, that's.
It actually was nice though.
Yeah,
pretty laid back.
Who doesn't want to grow up in beachiness?
Yeah. But now, then the 80s hit, and I did like the big hair. My hair was really big and fun.
Aww.
I know. Now I can't get it that way, but it's. Now it's falling.
Now I'm wishing I had volume in my hair, and I'm trying so hard. It's not really happening.
It's not. No.
It's not my thing.
No, I'm not saying it's not for you, but that's not the thing either.
No. But yeah, so I don't think I actually ever paid attention to the fact that I did these things. I just did these things, right?
They just came natural. And
looking back as time progressed, as I got older and I was like going to school and trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, that's when I think I started really like, But I remember the first time like really falling in love with an outfit, like 1990-ish.
I was graduating high school. Okay. Anyway,
so that's the point here.
Some perspective of what we're dealing with.
on the wire. But Pretty Woman came out, and my aunt showed all of us this movie.
Pretty Woman?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was 5.
Okay.
So my parents were not super thrilled when they realized when they came back. But there was this scene where she's like walking down Rodeo Drive, and she has on this like white dress with buttons and this big white hat.
Yes,
and I remember in that moment
that.
being like, I love this. Like, it's amazing. And
the outfit
yeah.
and Rodeo Drive, or just the outfit? Okay.
I didn't know what Rodeo Drive was.
Okay.
But it was just like the idea of like this shopping and like the fun, and like she had all these cool outfits that she went through.
Was going to town,
Yeah. And so I remember like it was really stuck in my head. And so when I went and did my final for fashion school, we had to put on a show, and we had to have 3 genres. And so for my women's wear collection, I did a collection that was inspired by that movie.
Oh,
so it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So what was the other 2 genres? I'm just
yeah.
curious.
So I did menswear, because I love doing menswear.
Okay.
And it's all about the details with menswear.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
You still do? Are you still? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know your clients, all your clients.
Yeah, I do. I love menswear.
Men too. But...
I'm so, because it takes, like, there's so many options for women, and it's just like out there. But menswear, you have to be like really intentional about the details to make it unique and special. Because there's like only so much you can do with pants or a shirt, you know. So I just really like enjoyed menswear for that reason. And so I did menswear, the women's streetwear, and then I did swimwear.
Okay.
And then we also had to do like the big project. We got assigned a industry, and we had to design a ball gown using that industry.
Okay.
So I was assigned automotive as an industry.
That would be really fun.
It was
I
fun.
think.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
So I ended up making this ball gown out of material from leather seats. And I fortunately had a friend at the time that had owned a body shop, and he let me come and like to the salvage area and take a bunch of stuff. And I got to put together, like, I took pieces of a bumper and welded like a bustle that went on the back of the dress with a seatbelt that clipped it into place. And it was like this big bumper bustle. And I took all the headlights and I crushed them all up, and then I just like put them all over the back of this thing. So it was like orange and red and had all this crushed glass all over the back of it. And she could like put it on and off. And it was like this big dramatic piece.
That's amazing.
And then I took, it was like asymmetrical, because that's my thing. Asymmetrical. It's like I took a rear view mirror piece and made a shoulder pad out of it, like this big rear view mirror piece. And the other side came across with no sleeve. And then there was these big ruffles made out of airbags.
Oh my God, I love it.
So it kind of looked like she was like walking on clouds at the bottom, because they had all these airbags put like, what my little
fantastic.
It was a lot of fun.
Did you get an A?
It was a lot of fun.
Or I don't know.
I graduated. I have a degree.
She did
I
it.
did it. No,
That's
but it was a
good.
lot of fun.
But bathing suits were just bathing suits. It wasn't anything
Yeah.
like automotive bathing suits.
No.
Okay.
Everything had like, we were supposed to be inspired by something. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think we had to pick a Disney movie for our swimwear.
Oh.
So mine was Happy Feet. So I made like a women's.
Oh, the little penguins.
Yeah, I made women's look like a tuxedo, but like it was a swimwear.
Cute.
And it had this like sheer organza tuxedo jacket with the tails. That was like the cover up.
Was the cover up?
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have that stuff?
I do.
We're gonna raid her closet at some point. I always thought that would be a fun
Field trip.
episode to have, where we go in, like, play dress up, because there's just so much stuff. You have no idea. Mini closets, many things, and that would be a lot of fun.
Many things. Yeah.
I think that would be so fun. I wouldn't try anything on, but I love that, because it's always been you, and you've always. So did you? All right. So let's get to the meat of that, which is obviously wearing big giant earrings at 3. So your mom allowed all of that, and she was comfortable with that.
Yeah, both my parents were really good about that.
Was there a level? So there wasn't a level of shame brought on you for that, or
Not in my household.
okay?
Now, as I grew older in school, there absolutely was. And so, absolutely. But no, my parents were so good about it. Like, don't get me wrong, my mom and I would have like kick door down fights almost when I was really little about like church wear, like what was appropriate for church, what wasn't, kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But she got to the point where she was like, this isn't worth it. Like, and I remember later, probably in high school at some point, my parents both saying, like, we've come to really realize, and my mom was like, and we have you to thank for it, that what's going on out here really doesn't matter. It's what's going on inside,
right?
And how you're treating people,
Mm-hmm.
and how you're, you know, like all of that matters way more than if you want to shave half your head or if you want to have purple hair, because I did all the things. So they were really good about being supportive, which kudos to them.
I mean, that's pretty progressive.
Yeah. Well, when you think about in second grade, I walked out of my bedroom and for weeks, and my second grade teacher was quite upset about it. I wore 2 different shoes to school on purpose. I had a sneaker that was like the LA Raiders. It was like a
nice,
like basketball track sneaker kind of thing. I wore on one foot, and the other foot was like the Payless version of a Converse with Aladdin all over it.
Oh,
so I had my
yeah,
I had my Chuck, my fake Chuck, my Payless Chuck with Aladdin on it on one foot, and I didn't even walk balanced because the soles were too.
But you didn't give a shit, right?
I didn't give a shit. I was like, no, I want to wear this.
Yeah.
Like, this is what's happening right now. And so I did that for weeks. And my parents were like, whatever. Like.
Right. But, you know, I remember hearing, even before I had children and places I worked, these women that had kids, and they would have knockdown, drag out fights with their son in the winter time because they wanted to wear shorts to school, and it was just forbidden, and it just caused such grief in the family and the daily battle. I never understood that. Because that's on them. If they're gonna freeze their ass off, that's on them.
Right.
I don't understand. Just let them make those choices, in my opinion. And so now that I have kids, it's the same thing. I really don't. I mean, it's all right.
Yeah.
You think you need a sweatshirt? Okay.
So I have a really funny story with this. About that same time frame, I was in that exact phase. I didn't want to wear pants. I wanted to wear shorts to everything. I was under the impression that I never got cold. Like, that was my statement. I'm like, I'm not cold. I didn't care if I was cold. I wasn't going to wear a coat, and I wasn't going to wear jeans. So in Amarillo, Texas, it can get really cold. Like, we get like full on blizzard sometimes. And I would fight with my mom about this. And so she got to the point where she's like, go be cold.
Yeah.
Like, do your thing, girl. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
But she ended up getting a call from the school.
Oh, God, defects.
Yes. Because she wasn't sending me to school with the appropriate attire for the weather. And I remember my mom saying to the school, she has a winter coat. Send them on over to look. And if they can get her to wear it, good for them.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So she, like,
I think about the defects. Because
Yeah.
now, well, I guess maybe I have, now that I have kids, I have said that before. And I'm like, if they call or if they want to take you out, you know, if you want to go live with a new family, then go for it.
Yeah. I really put some stressful scenarios onto my parents, and they were so patient. So patient.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about it as when you become an adult. It is, you see, you're like, oh man, I was a giant PETA.
Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe not. I mean, you were second grade, for Christ's sake.
Pretty sure it was a pain in the ass. Like, there was a moment I remember learning, like, oh, slamming the door is fun. Let's do it again.
Yes.
Like, I hit my teenage years at like 5.
That's so funny. I allowed my daughter to watch iCarly for a long time, or not for a long time, but for a while, and because she just seemed, and I can't even remember if she was 5 or 6 years old, but she was just watching this, and all of a sudden I noticed that when she got upset about something, she would run to her room and she would mouth off or something and just slam the door. And then the next day we're watching, I'm letting her watch the show, and And then I realized that that's exactly what they do. And I'm like, oh, no, this is over. You're not watching this. 'Cause this is not real life. We don't do this.
Not real life. We don't do this. Yeah. It's funny how quickly, like, you pick that stuff up.
Oh, man. Yeah. And I mean, I get it because that's what she was watching it. She's
Right.
like, oh, she does that. That seems kind of fun. You know,
Yeah.
The soundtrack laughs and whatever it is. So, anyway.
It seems so harmless until it's not. So we got way off the rails, which is fine. It's what I wanted to do. Like, have these conversations.
It's fine.
But what I really want to kind of touch base on as we're jumping into launching Liquid Courage and Confidence.
Yes. Okay. Oh, cheers.
Cheers. Hey.
There's lots of cheers.
Yeah, lots of cheers. Is why confidence, right? Like, why is confidence important? Why I think so many of the topics that we're going to discuss over the coming episodes, confidence factors in.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like your take on it too. Like, what is confidence for you? How is it shown up or not shown up? Apart from being like a freaking awesome friend and, you know, my business bestie that we get to grow our businesses together. And I'm like apart
Thank
from
God.
just being a phenomenal human, why you said yes to this insane project.
Because I believe you are the same, of course. Because I can see your heart. I know that you have such a passion for helping others be their best self. I mean, it's just, it's incredible. And I know that has been a journey for you to try to figure out exactly what, not only in fashion and helping people feel confident on the outside, but how to help them on the inside too. And so that, again, we can't, I think I've been called the resident crier. I do get very emotional when I think about the journey when we met and where I was, and since then where I've come from. And a lot of the confidence and all of that has come from just developing a relationship with you. And of course, you know, you help me. And sometimes it's not great. So I do want to preface that. So it's like, don't blame Casey for this. I chose to not abide to the rules. But sometimes she's, you know, I go for it and it's just fabulous. So it does help a lot with me for my confidence. And so that's why I wanted to come alongside this, because again, you're open to so many things to talk about, and I'm always there to talk about those things. I know a lot of people think it's crazy or we shouldn't go there, but I don't see why we shouldn't. I think that we get into the granulars of, you know, you wearing two different shoes. What happened there with, you know, they called the school, but then the message that sent to you,
right,
and the message it sent to the kids in the classroom,
right,
that all impacts. But you still chose to, you know, surge ahead and be like, fuck it, this is me. And I think that's fabulous. And back then though, I mean, when you're younger, it's hard because it's those formative years and you don't really have, you're just learning what people are how they're going to judge you, what's going to happen in the real world. So
right.
It's hard, but I think that those things shape us as we're adults, and we need to talk about it.
Well, I am super excited to do this with you. Like, I can't thank you enough, first of all. Doing this with me, pushing me to do it, believing in me in all aspects. It's phenomenal to have the people that I've had in my corner as I've gone on this journey. And so freaking excited.
Yes.
But to your point, talking about those things, like, I was this feisty little kid from what I can remember, and even the stories that like my family share later, right? Up into a point. And it's almost like I can remember the shift where you start to recognize how much your peers' opinions matter, and that shift that occurred, and how much I like swallowed who I was to fit the bubble. It affected my choices in everything. And I think that's why when I look back over it, I really started on this journey of confidence after, like, in my adult life, right? Like I hit this wall. I had had all these amazing opportunities, from getting to do modeling, very unexpectedly. It was just kind of an opportunity I jumped into, and having those really unique experiences, for better or for worse, and I'm sure we'll talk about those as time goes on some, and then into fashion school and living in Hollywood and working in that world, and then having my own kind of health crisis, and I went from being like the quote unquote ideal body wise to being 100 pounds heavier. I went from a 0 to an 18 in sizes in 9 months, and it destroyed me mentally, because I had literally tied every bit of my worth up into this quote unquote image. So coming back from that scenario, trying to build back from all the dark places that led me down, and again, I'm sure we'll dive more into that later. As I've started to really pull all this apart, I've realized that my journey with confidence started way earlier than what I thought. It started back in those moments as a child where I let myself get into the space of trying to please everybody else, because I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to, for lack of a better term, be popular or whatever it was.
Right.
And the funny thing was, like, that really wasn't me either. Like, I never was that anyway, so why did it matter?
Right.
But you're like trying to.
You can't reason that, though.
You can't reason that, right? With a kid and growing up, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to
be. You're right.
I want to be with these people, and I want to do these things, and it was coupled with lots of things going on, right? Like, but I realized that my desperate need to fit in and to please people and to be liked or whatever it was really started fermenting into habitual people pleasing, to a point where it wasn't healthy. And it wasn't until very recently that I got kind of a smack in the face and really realized, like, I was hiding under this space of people pleasing as kindness. Like, you're being such a kind human, right? And I'm like, no, people pleasing is fear. It's fear for showing up for who you are. You don't have to be unkind to have boundaries for yourself. But I felt that way for so many years of my life. And so this lack of self-confidence that I already had, coupled with my, like, people-pleasing tendencies, took me down some really not great places. And I think, like, now, as I'm kind of dissecting all of that, and I've been having all these hard conversations, and this kind of transpired with me, like, working with clients over time, and like the things that they were sharing with me, because we were in such a vulnerable place. We're in their closets, we're talking about things and the attachments and the pain that people feel and the shame people feel. And quite literally, my sisters used to joke that I was a closet counselor. And obviously I'm not a licensed counselor, let's preface that. But really having those tough conversations forced me to look in the mirror too, right? And I think that's why I have become so focused on, like, clothing was something that resonated with me very authentically from childhood. I love it. It's fun. It's a super powerful tool, and it can be used in so many amazing ways. But if it's not, at least eventually, coupled with the interior feeling of yourself, on how confident you are from the inside, it's just a band-aid, and you will continue to feel really shitty. And so I think I was through all this and getting the opportunity to work with such amazing clients and people, and them just trusting me and opening up to me and sharing, I was like, there has to be something more. There has to be something more than just this physical facade. And there is something more. And I think that's why this is so important to me right now, is I want to build this community. I think you and I have talked about this, and like the idea of just bringing in a community and being able to feel like you can talk about anything here. It is your safe space, right? And if maybe you're going through something and you don't know who to share it with or whatever, maybe you'll find a topic that we're talking about. You and I have both been through a lot of stuff, and I think that's kind of one of the cool things about us doing this together is
it covers a lot of decades. It really does.
But not even decades, experiences.
Yes, that's true too. Sure.
We're not old, we're wise.
No, we're wise, and no, I'm not saying I'm old, but no, it does cover a lot of things.
But it covers a lot of things, and I think that's why it just became so important to me to build this community and to get this out there and to share it with people, because I want people to have a place they can come and have these conversations, and I want to build a community around it. And I don't know if you were into this at all, and I know Marvel's like a huge thing now with all this stuff, but growing up, like the Saturday morning cartoons were a thing, and some of my favorite were like X-Men. And I was just like, I would always be like, oh, I just wish I had a superpower.
Yeah.
And I really have come to believe that confidence is a superpower. And confidence is the thing. Having self-confidence and belief in yourself is that thing that is your superpower. And unlike the superpower that those comics had, you can build confidence. There are tactical tools and steps you can take to develop self-confidence, and then you get to have your very own superpower, and it gets to take you to that next level of dream and achievement. And that's what's so fucking exciting to me.
Right. Well, and two, I think because as you, like, even doing this, it is such a step for you. And I kid and say, oh, it's our fourth try, but it truly has just been just in this short amount of time, because we've been trying to get this off the ground for you to get there. It does it because, and I wanted to step back and watch and see, is this something you really wanted to do? I wasn't going to force it. And then B, I was trying to read and find out what the holdup was. And it was, I think, just that you needed to kind of get a little bit more confident. I think it was like you got scared, and I'm there because there's so much in my business and what I want to do, but oh my God, it petrifies me to death. And but you got to go. Because you got it in it. So you just have to do it. Yeah. And so that's why I love you. And I did grow up with Saturday morning cartoons, of course. And, but a little bit different. We had, the original, Batman's and Wonder Woman's, and there was, I think it's the Wonder Twins. I don't know if you remember the Wonder Twins. I doubt it. It was way before your time. The Wonder Twins, and they would, at the end of or not at the end, but in the episode when it was their time, and they were called on by the other league of, I can't remember, they would say it was their time, and so then they knew they needed to turn on their superpowers. So they say Wonder Twin powers, and they had a ring. And they go activate, and they'd take their fists together like that, and then the power would just go crazy. And how wonderful is that? You have somebody with you, and so I think we're the Wonder Twins.
I like it. I'm totally on board with this. And now we need matching rings, is what that tells me.
Yeah. And maybe instead of or we could click glasses. Hey, Wonder Twin powers. Activate. I think that's perfect. I love it. Actually, that's so great.
I'm really not
going to happened organically too. I
know. I'm really not going to let this ring thing go.
All right.
No, so my relation, like, did you see Captain Planet? Do you remember Captain Planet?
I really think we grew up differently. Saturday morning cartoons. I'm just telling you.
So Captain Planet was kind of similar. He was like Captain Planet, and then he had like all these little helper people that were like Earth, Fire, Water. And then they would come together and they'd clink their rings and be like, ding, and like all the powers would activate.
Okay.
So they must have stole that from the Wonder Twins.
They took it from the Wonder Twins.
I didn't know the Wonder Twins was a thing, because when you started
talking about it,
like Captain Planet.
Oh, that's funny. No.
But now I feel like YouTube must have some Twins, I can go like search.
Oh, totally. Google it. It's there. The Wonder Twin powers activate, and it would just go. It was awesome. Like that always. And then the Wonder Woman. You just have to spin your ass off, and then somehow your powers came. Your clothes came off, and something new came on, and you were some badass after
I mean, that is a superpower.
It's pretty fucking awesome. Yeah, for sure.
If I can change clothes while spinning, my life problems have been
shows
solved.
like that.
I know.
Mm-hmm. That's a good event idea.
I know. I see those people like I don't know, but they do. They have the things like with all the technology, their clothes like transform, and I'm like,
cool.
all right. I'm not quite there yet in my design world. So
that is a goal, though. Actually, so many ideas just came.
So many ideas.
I'm
just like, oh, I'm gonna have robotic clothes after this.
That's so fun. But I love it. I think it's great. I think especially if people want to comment or ask questions, either email or put it in the comments of something that you want to talk about, or you have a question, just what we talked about. But I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, but we have other things.
And we'll add on something at the end here where how you can reach us, kind of thing. But yeah, if there's definitely a topic that you want to hear about, truly, the sky's the limit. We would love to have that conversation
For sure.
And if it's something that we don't really know about, that's okay too. We'll wing it. And more of this will happen.
Yeah, we'll just drink some more.
I know. I love that we have this water here because we're really good adults and neither of us have touched it.
No, we know. We will drink it. Here we go. Cheers to this too.
To the
whatever
water.
your liquid courage is. Water's good.
Water's good. No.
But we are going to get more deep into things. And, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really cool. The things that we're going to talk about, the subjects that really hit home. And I think everyone needs to talk about that because we all struggle in some way, regardless of where we come from, and what we've been through. So I think that it is important to have some of these conversations. So for sure, check for our next one. We do have content planned out. We surely do, but we will also just wing it if we have to as well.
Yeah. So, definitely if this is something that interests you, you can always hit subscribe. I think that's a thing on YouTube. Ooh. It's weird that I'm saying that. We've gotten here. It's only been like a year in the making for me. I can say hit subscribe and it makes sense now because I'm like posting this on something. You understand subscribe.
Okay. I'll go with it. I'm just here for the ride.
Here for the ride and the drinks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I appreciate and would love any feedback. This is a journey. I don't expect it to be perfect. We're experimenting with this. So by all means, sound can get better, all the things, but we're here for it and it's going to be fun. Yes. So if there's topics you want to talk about, otherwise tune in and we'll share the things that we've kind of already decided need to be talked about.
But happy to derail and go another direction if something comes up. Thanks for joining us.
Yay. Till next time.
Bye-bye.